Hi, my name is Logan, and my project is called Burning Up the Block: Urban Heat Islands in Black Communities, How City Design and Racism Turns Neighborhoods into Ovens. I'm going to explain two things: the science of urban heat islands and how the science turns into racial justice issues for Black neighborhoods. Part 1: The Science of Urban Heat Islands. First, what is an urban heat island? A heat island is when a city or part of a city gets hotter than the areas around it. Rural areas have more trees, grass, and open soil. Cities have more buildings, roads, parking lots. Those surfaces change how the sun's energy is absorbed and released. Concrete, cars, and heat traps. Materials like dark roofs, shingles, and asphalt act as sponges for this heat. All day long, they soak up the sunlight. Cars, air conditioning units, and factories also dump out extra heat into the air. So instead of the city cooling off, it's constantly getting reheated. Why nights stay so hot? Outside the city, plants and soil cool down quickly after sunset. In heat islands, all that concrete and asphalt slowly leaks back out at night. That's why some neighborhoods barely cool down, even at 2 or 3 in the morning. Cities versus suburbs. Who's hotter? If you compare a downtown area to the suburb or a rural land nearby, the city is usually a few degrees warmer. Even inside the same city, you can have hotter pockets and cooler pockets, depending on how much pavement, how many trees are there. Um, why is this heat so dangerous? Extreme heat is actually the number one weather related killer. It makes existing health problems like asthma, heart disease, and diabetes worse. It especially affects older people, children, and people who work outside. So the meteorology side, the materials in a neighborhood plus the extra human-made heat changes the local temperature pattern and creates a heat island. Part 2: Heat and Racial Injustice. Now, I want to connect that science to race and racism. Um, redlining. In the past, banks and governments used redlining maps to mark black and brown neighborhoods as risky. Those areas got less investment in parks, trees, and infrastructure. Today, those same neighborhoods usually have more pavement, more pollution, fewer trees, and they have higher temperatures. Studies show that compared to national averages, minority neighborhoods are much more likely to have high pollution, little vegetation, and higher temperatures. Who lives in these hottest zones? So, who ends up living in these hottest zones um, in different parts of the city are mostly Black, Hispanic, and low income families. One study found that people living below the poverty line experience temperatures about 3 degrees Celsius hotter than people living above the poverty line. In 97% of major US cities, minority communities face higher temperatures than white communities. Heat, health, and hospital bills. That extra heat translates into health problems. Heat on waves make asthma attacks more prevalent, but they worsen heart problems and other conditions. People end up in the ER, which means higher medical bills, especially for families that are already struggling. Paying more just to stay alive. To stay safe, families in these hot zones have to run their air conditionings a lot more, which means higher electric bills. People may have to choose between paying for medicine, food, or keeping the AC on. Some turn the AC off to save money and end up in dangerous heat inside their own homes. Turn down the heat, turn up the justice. Heat islands are not just bad luck or just weather, they're shaped by policy choices. We can turn down the heat by planting more trees, parks, and community gardens in these hot neighborhoods. We can use cool roofs and shaded bus stops. We can build cooling centers where people can go during heat waves and make sure climate money and resources go first to the communities that are currently the hottest. Europe had a heat wave in 2003 that led to tens of thousands of extra deaths. As heat waves become more common with climate change, if we don't fix these inequalities, the same thing can happen here in US cities, especially in Black communities. So, closing to summarize everything, urban heat islands happen because of how we build our cities. Lots of pavement, dark roofs, and extra human made heat. Those heat islands do not affect everyone equally because of redlining, disinvestment. Black and low income neighborhoods are often the hottest, sickest, and most expensive places to try to stay cool. Extreme heat is a meteorological issue and a justice issue at the same time. If we pay attention to where the heat is worse and who lives there, we can make choices that cool down the block and turn up the justice for the communities that have been overheating the longest. Thank you.